The vast theater was buzzing with anticipation. Thousands of people filled the audience, their chatter blending into a restless hum, while millions more tuned in from their homes across the world. The lights above the stage shone so brightly that stepping into them felt like stepping into another universe. Backstage, Lila, a 16-year-old girl with trembling hands and a heart that pounded against her chest like a frantic drum, tried to steady her breath. She wore a simple white dress, her grandmother's favorite, that fluttered slightly as if it, too, was nervous for her. Her mother whispered encouragement. "You've got this, sweetheart. Just sing from your heart, like you always do in your room." But the stage was not her room. It was America's Got Talent, and on the other side of that curtain sat the most intimidating judge of them all, Simon Cowell. When Lila walked onto the stage, she looked so fragile that the audience held its breath. The microphone wobbled in her hands. She gave her name, her age, and admitted softly, "I've never sung in front of this many people before. I'm really nervous." Simon leaned forward, his face unreadable. "All right, darling. Take your time. Show us what you can do." The music began, an instrumental track she had practiced for months. Lila took a breath and opened her mouth, but her voice quivered, too soft, nearly swallowed by the massive theater. The first notes cracked. She closed her eyes, praying the nerves would vanish. Instead, whispers spread across the crowd. The judges exchanged looks. And then, it happened. Simon raised his hand. "Stop. Stop, stop, stop." The music cut off abruptly, leaving silence so heavy it pressed down on Lila's shoulders. Her throat tightened. She thought she had just ruined everything. The theater went cold in that silence. Lila's eyes welled with tears, her chest rising and falling rapidly as the realization hit her, she had blown it. Her chance, her dream, gone in less than a minute. Simon's voice broke the stillness. "Lila, you're nervous. I can see it, and I can hear it. But I stopped you for a reason." The crowd murmured, unsure if this was the end of her audition. Simon leaned back in his chair, eyes steady on the trembling girl. "Forget the backing track. I want you to sing a cappella. No music, no safety net. Just you. Can you do that?" The words struck Lila like a bolt of lightning. A cappella? On this stage? Her mind screamed that she couldn't, but her heart whispered something else. Her mother's voice echoed in her memory, "Your voice alone is enough. Trust it." The audience, sensing the moment, grew still. Even the judges leaned forward. Lila clutched the microphone tighter, wiped a tear from her cheek, and nodded slowly. She took one shaky step forward, closing her eyes to shut out the sea of faces. When she opened them again, she wasn't looking at Simon, or at the lights, or at the cameras. She was looking inward. Toward the part of her that had always found safety in music. "Okay," she whispered. "I'll try." The theater went silent, waiting. And then, Lila began. Her first note floated into the air like a fragile bird, but this time, it did not break. It soared. Without the heavy weight of the instrumental track, Lila's pure, angelic voice filled every corner of the theater. She sang a hauntingly beautiful ballad, one her grandmother had taught her when she was little. The lyrics spoke of resilience, of standing tall when the world tried to knock you down, of finding light in the deepest shadows. Her tone was clear, unshaken now, threaded with emotion so raw that the audience felt it ripple through their skin. Every note carried her story, of being the shy girl who sang to herself in her bedroom, of losing her grandmother who believed in her voice more than anyone, of the nights she doubted if she was good enough. As she reached the chorus, something shifted. Her voice grew stronger, braver, rising higher and higher until it was no longer a whisper of fear but a cry of triumph. People in the audience began to stand, one by one, as if pulled upward by the force of her song. Tears welled in strangers' eyes. Mothers clutched their children. The theater, moments ago tense with uncertainty, was now electrified with awe. Even Simon's stern face softened. He leaned back, arms crossed, a faint smile tugging at the corners of his mouth, the kind he reserved for moments that truly moved him. By the final note, Lila stood tall, her chest heaving, eyes shining not with fear but with release. She had given everything. And for the first time in her life, she wasn't hiding her voice. The last note hung in the air, vibrating with power, before fading into silence. Then, the theater erupted. The roar of applause shook the room. The entire audience rose to their feet, clapping, cheering, some even shouting her name. Lila gasped, her hand covering her mouth as tears streamed down her cheeks. The moment she had feared most, being vulnerable, exposed without music, had transformed into the most powerful triumph she had ever known. Heidi stood first among the judges, clapping with tears in her eyes. "That was beautiful. You took us on a journey, Lila. You made us feel every word. That's what this stage is about." Sophia leaned in. "You don't just have a voice, you have a gift. I forgot I was in a theater. I felt like I was hearing a message meant for my soul." Howie shook his head in amazement. That was a comeback I'll never forget. To go from shaky and uncertain, to this? That's what makes people stars. You didn't just sing, you inspired. And then, all eyes turned to Simon. He sat silently for a moment, letting the weight of the applause carry before he spoke. His voice was calm, measured, but softer than before. "Lila, when you first came out, I thought your nerves were going to get the better of you. That's why I stopped you. Because I believed you had more inside of you than what we were hearing." He leaned forward. "And you proved me right. That was stunning. Absolutely stunning. You showed us not just your voice, but your heart. And that's what makes an artist." The crowd erupted again, chanting her name. Lila stood in disbelief, tears streaming, her hands trembling, but this time, not from fear. From joy. From validation. As the cheers died down, the judges prepared to vote. Lila's chest tightened again, but this time with anticipation, not fear. One by one, the judges gave their yes. The fourth, Simon, paused for effect, his signature smirk returning. "Lila, that's the easiest yes I've given all season." Confetti didn't fall, no golden buzzer this time, but the moment was just as magical. Because what Lila had won was far greater than a golden ticket. She had won her voice back. Backstage, her mother ran to her, embracing her tightly. "You did it, sweetheart. You showed them who you are." And for the first time, Lila truly believed it. She wasn't just a nervous girl hiding behind her bedroom walls anymore. She was a singer. An artist. Someone who could stand before the world and be heard. As she left the stage, Simon glanced at her one last time, almost as if to say, "Told you so." And deep inside, Lila knew this was not the end of her story. This was the beginning. Her comeback wasn't just a performance, it was a transformation. And the world would remember the night Simon stopped a nervous girl, only for her to rise from the silence like a phoenix, and sing her truth.